After leading the Muslim community for only 2 years, the first Caliph, Abu Bakr, R.A., passed away. Yet before his departure, he made it crystal clear who would succeed him: Umar ibn al-Khattab, R.A. Today, Islam stands as the fastest growing religion in the world, followed by nearly 2 billion people. Not a single second passes on earth without the call to prayer echoing somewhere. And in all of this, Umar ibn al-Khattab played an extraordinary role. In just a short span, he expanded the Muslim empire to a scale unseen before, far greater than that of Alexander the Great or even the pharaohs of Egypt. But how exactly did he achieve this? To understand Umar's personality, one must first understand Mecca in those days. For centuries, Mecca was under the control of the Quraysh tribe. Over time, the Quraysh grew so large that they divided into many clans, each assigned specific responsibilities to maintain peace in the city. Among these clans, 3 held the most influence. First, the Banu Hashim, the Prophet Muhammad's clan, carried the religious authority because the Kaaba made Mecca the religious center of Arabia. Leaders like Abdul Muttalib and later Abu Talib came from this clan. Second, the Banu Umayyah, famed for their wealth, controlled the city's economy. Abu Sufyan was their leader. Third, the Banu Makhzum, known for their warriors and military power, handled the planning of wars and held the largest stock of weapons. Their most infamous leader was Abu Jahl. Umar, R.A., however, did not belong to any of these 3 dominant clans. He came from Banu Adi, a smaller clan known as the diplomats and spokesmen of Quraysh. When conflicts erupted among Quraysh, Banu Adi often stepped in as mediators. Umar's father, Khattab, was the head of this clan. From his father, Umar, R.A., inherited the gift of negotiation and the ability to settle disputes with reasoning and debate. But from his mother's side, Hantama bint Hisham of the warrior clan Banu Makhzum, he inherited fierceness and a fiery temper. This same clan produced Khalid ibn al-Walid, R.A., Umar's cousin, and later one of Islam's greatest generals. Umar combined both qualities, wisdom in diplomacy and decisiveness with the sword when dialogue failed. Years later, after becoming the Caliph of the largest empire in the world, Umar, R.A., walked past the same area in Mecca where he once grazed camels as a child. He said, "How amazing is Allah! Once I was a boy grazing camels here, beaten harshly by my father for the smallest mistakes, and today there is no one between me and Allah." At that moment, Umar, R.A., was the most powerful man on earth, greater than kings and emperors, yet humbled by his past. Born 12 years after the Prophet, Umar, R.A., grew into a tall, muscular man, soon becoming Mecca's strongest wrestler. People said when Umar walked in a crowd, it was as if he were mounted on a camel while the rest walked on the ground. In today's terms, he would have been around 6'6" or 6'7" tall, towering above others, just like Emir Tamim of Qatar towers over average leaders beside him. With time, Umar, R.A., took leadership of Banu Adi and became recognized as one of Quraysh's most talented ambassadors. Alongside this, he built a successful import-export business, constantly traveling between Mecca, Yemen, and Syria. But at the age of 27, when the Prophet announced his mission, Umar stood firmly with Quraysh's opposition. As spokesman and nephew of Abu Jahl, he became one of Islam's strongest enemies. Before Islam, Umar, RRA, had a reputation that was far from noble. He indulged in alcohol, gambling, and persecuted Muslims. His hatred for Islam was so intense that once he beat a slave nearly to death simply for declaring faith. But slowly, his heart began to shift. One day, he saw a slave beaten almost unconscious by Abu Jahl. Seeing no one else helping, Umar himself lifted the man. The slave prayed, "By Allah, you are better than the two." What Umar didn't know was that the Prophet had prayed, "O Allah, strengthen Islam with one of the two Umars, Umar ibn al-Khattab or Umar ibn Hisham, Abu Jahl." Yet Umar's frustration grew. Abu Jahl and Abu Sufyan repeatedly gathered Quraysh's chiefs to complain. "Muhammad has ruined our religion, our economy, and our honor." Finally, in anger, Umar decided on a drastic action no one else dared attempt: to kill the Prophet. Sword in hand, he set out for Dar al-Arqam, the Muslims' secret headquarters. On the way, Allah's plan intervened. Umar's close friend, who had secretly embraced Islam, stopped him. Learning of Umar's mission, he panicked and said, "Before you confront Muhammad, look to your own house." Umar rushed to his sister's home, where he found her and her husband, Sa'id bin Zayd, already Muslims. Furious, he struck Sa'id and even injured his sister Fatima, whose blood finally broke through his anger. Struck by guilt, he demanded, "Show me what you are reading." They handed him pages of the Quran. Upon reading, Umar's heart softened, and he embraced Islam. Now determined, Umar went to Dar al-Arqam. Muslims, seeing him arrive with a sword, feared the worst. But Hamza, R.A., said, "Let him in. If his intention is good, welcome. If not, I will strike him down with his own sword." Umar entered, and the Prophet asked, "O Umar, is it not time you recognize the truth?" Umar declared his Islam, and the companions cried out in takbir so loudly that their voices shook Mecca. It was the 6th year of prophethood. Umar, R.A., was about 32 or 33 years old. With him, Muslims in Mecca now numbered 50, 40 men and 10 women. Before Umar, Muslims practiced in secret. After him, they prayed openly, even inside the Kaaba. Umar spent the rest of his life in service of Islam, eventually migrating to Medina with the Prophet. In Medina, Umar, R.A., lived with an Ansari brother, splitting their duties. One day in the Prophet's company, the other managing business. 2 years later, Umar fought in Badr. His opinion was to execute prisoners of war, while Abu Bakr, R.A., and the Prophet favored ransom. Soon after, revelation confirmed Umar's judgment. For his ability to distinguish truth, he was named Al-Farooq. He fought in Uhud, Khandaq, and other campaigns, and at Hudaybiyah voiced strong objections to the treaty. The Prophet reminded him, "I am Allah's messenger. I will not disobey him." Later, Umar realized Hudaybiyah's wisdom and sought forgiveness for his doubts. As Islam spread rapidly, even Umar's cousin Khalid ibn al-Walid accepted faith. The Prophet married Umar's daughter, Hafsa. After Makkah's conquest, Umar donated half his wealth in Tabuk. When the Prophet passed away, Umar was so devastated, he denied the news and threatened anyone who claimed it, until Abu Bakr reminded him with Quran that the messenger had indeed returned to Allah. At Saqifa, Umar decisively pledged allegiance to Abu Bakr, calming disputes and uniting the Muslims under the first caliph. Umar became his closest advisor, like a prime minister. Together they reunited Arabia after the Battle of Yamama. Seeing Quran memorizers martyred, Umar proposed its compilation into a single book, a legacy preserved to this day. Muslim forces then marched against Persia and Rome. Persia fell quickly, but Rome resisted until Abu Bakr ordered Khalid ibn al-Walid to shift fronts. Khalid soon besieged Damascus. Umar, however, disliked his cousin's independent command. Later, when Umar became caliph, he dismissed Khalid from leadership, a controversial decision. As Abu Bakr's health declined, he asked companions for counsel about Umar. Some worried about Umar's strictness, but Abu Bakr reassured them. He appears stern only because he sees me gentle. When he leads, he will balance himself. He then dictated his will, naming Umar ibn al-Khattab as his successor. Unlike monarchs of history, he did not choose his own son, but the man best suited for leadership. Just as Umar's conversion had transformed Islam in Mecca, his caliphate would transform the world. Within years, he built an empire unmatched in history, establishing systems of governance that shaped Muslim lands for centuries. Even after 1400 years, much of that world still carries his legacy.